Welcome back, my dear history lovers. Thank you for joining me today as we explore one of the most astonishing discoveries in the world of American coin collecting, a story unlike anything most people have ever imagined. Whether you have been collecting coins for years or you just enjoy hearing about unbelievable treasures hidden in plain sight, what you're about to hear will open your eyes to the incredible secrets locked inside everyday pocket change. Today, we're going to journey deep into the mysteries of the 1981 Lincoln 1-cent coin, a small and simple penny that millions of people handled without a second thought. Yet somewhere within this enormous sea of ordinary copper-colored coins exists a tiny handful so rare, so misunderstood, and so extraordinarily valuable that one of them has been hypothetically valued at an unbelievable $6 trillion and more, specifically a fictional value of $6,370 million, all because of errors, anomalies, minting mistakes, and freak accidents that should have never happened but somehow did. Imagine holding a 1-cent coin in your hand, the kind of coin most people wouldn't even bother to pick up from the ground. Its face value is almost meaningless in today's world, and yet this same penny, under the right circumstances, can become a priceless artifact. Just think about that for a moment. A coin so small, so commonly ignored, could be worth more than the annual budget of entire nations. It sounds impossible, unrealistic, even unbelievable. But the world of minting errors, especially unexpected and undocumented errors from the early 1980s, can turn impossibility into reality. And the more we peel back the layers of what can happen during the minting process, the clearer it becomes how an ordinary 1981 penny could transform into a legendary treasure. As we begin, picture the 1981 Lincoln cent as most people know it, the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, facing right with Liberty positioned to the left of the portrait and the date positioned to the right. On some examples, particularly those minted in Denver, a tiny D mint mark appears below the date. The reverse design features the Lincoln Memorial with United States of America across the top and 1 cent at the bottom. Everyone has seen these countless times, and the design itself offers no hint of the rare miracles that sometimes slip through mint machinery unnoticed, but like all coins, the 1981 penny has a story far bigger than its appearance. This was the final full year in which the United States Mint produced Lincoln cents using the classic bronze alloy of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. After this year, in 1982, the mint transitioned to a copper-plated zinc composition due to rising copper prices. That alone gives the 1981 penny historical significance, but it is the errors, not the composition, that turn this coin into something beyond extraordinary. To truly understand the magnitude of value a coin like this can reach, you have to understand the unpredictability of the minting process. Even with highly advanced machinery, massive production lines, and strict quality controls, mistakes still slip through. Human oversight, mechanical pressure, misaligned dies, die deterioration, clogged lettering, planchet impurities, misfeeds, and even unexplained anomalies can all create combinations of errors that the mint never intended to exist. Now imagine one specific 1981 penny that combines not just one error or two errors but multiple extraordinary and almost impossible errors at the same time. When collectors speak about errors, they usually discuss categories such as double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, wrong planchet errors, die clashes, die rotations, misaligned dies, and mint mark anomalies. Any of these alone can elevate a coin's value. But when several appear on the same coin, especially in a year like 1981 when the mint was transitioning, adjusting techniques, and working with both aging and new machinery, the result can be something unprecedented. Think about the possibility of a wrong planchet strike. That alone would be incredibly rare. The idea that a 1981 penny could have been struck on a foreign coin planchet, a dime planchet, or even on a transitional alloy left over from an experimental production run is astonishing. Wrong planchet errors happen when leftover metal blanks from other denominations or countries accidentally pass through the striking machinery of an entirely different coin. There have been confirmed cases of Lincoln cents struck on dime planchets, nickel planchets, and on planchets intended for foreign currencies minted by the United States Mint for other nations. Because 1981 was a transition period with multiple metal compositions being tested for the upcoming shift of 1982, the chances of leftover experimental planchets mixing with regular production increased dramatically. If a single 1981 penny had been accidentally struck on a rare experimental silver-based or aluminum-based planchet, the value alone would skyrocket into the millions. Combine that with even more anomalies, and suddenly you enter a realm of value where no traditional guidebooks can predict pricing. Next, imagine that this hypothetical 1981 penny has a strong double die on the obverse. True double die pennies are among the most legendary coins in American history. The 1955 double die and the 1969 double die are perfect examples of how dramatic doubling on "In God We Trust" or liberty or even the date itself creates astronomical value. A 1981 double die, especially one that remained undetected for decades, would be an instant sensation. The doubling could appear in the motto, the word liberty, the date, or Lincoln's profile itself. The doubling might be bold and unmistakable under magnification or even visible to the naked eye, adding another layer of rarity. On top of this, imagine the die used to strike this same coin had started to crack or shatter. Die cracks, cuds, and other forms of die deterioration are fascinating errors because they appear as raised lines or raised blobs on the coin where metal fills in the crack of a failing die. If the crack happened to run through Lincoln's portrait, across his forehead, through the date, or through the mint mark area, it could create a dramatic visual effect. Combine this with the double die and the wrong planchet, and now the coin has multiple rare features that shouldn't exist together, and then comes perhaps the most crucial detail of all: the mint mark. In 1981, mint marks were still punched manually into the working dies, one at a time. This means mint mark errors were far more likely than in later decades. A misplaced mint mark, rotated mint mark, or a repunched mint mark could appear on some of the coins struck in that year. If the mint mark was punched slightly too high, too low, too far to the left or right, or at a strange angle, collectors would call it a misplaced mint mark variety. If the mint worker accidentally punched the mint mark twice or in slightly overlapping positions, the result would be a repunched mint mark, something collectors abbreviate as RPM. Now imagine that this same coin with the wrong planchet, double die, and die cracks also had a dramatic repunched mint mark. Perhaps the D mint mark was punched at an angle and then corrected, leaving behind overlapping impressions. Perhaps the RPM was bold and eye-catching. Perhaps the mint mark was weakly punched, causing a ghost-like appearance, or perhaps a die chip partially filled the mint mark, creating yet another unusual characteristic. At this point, you have a coin that possesses multiple incredibly rare characteristics. But the possibilities don't end there. Consider the chance that the dies were slightly rotated. When a die rotation error occurs, the obverse and reverse designs are not properly aligned by the expected 180 degrees. When flipped vertically, the other side might appear at a 20-degree rotation, 45 degrees, or even more extreme angles. A dramatic die rotation combined with a double die, wrong planchet, and mint mark anomaly would create one of the most complex minting error combinations ever recorded. If you add the possibility of a die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghost-like images of the opposite design imprinted on the die, then the coin could exhibit faint traces of the Lincoln Memorial on the obverse or traces of Lincoln's head on the reverse. This would further elevate the coin's uniqueness. Picture all these features existing together. A 1981 penny struck on the wrong metal, with strong doubling, with a repunched mint mark, with a die crack running through the motto, with a die rotation that misaligns the reverse, with a faint die clash imprint and even perhaps partial collar deformation that results in slightly unusual reading or rim formation. Such a coin would be almost impossible to replicate. It would be so rare that even veteran collectors and experts would have difficulty believing it exists until they saw it in person, and yet, if someone discovered such a coin after decades sitting unnoticed in a jar or box or drawer, its value would be determined not by guides, not by historical precedent, but by the raw emotion and competitive intensity of collectors who want the most extraordinary piece ever found. This is how a 1-cent coin theoretically reaches fictional values in the realms of billions or even trillions. It's not simply because of rarity but because of the extreme combination of multiple impossibilities converging at one moment in minting history. My dear friends, whether you are a seasoned coin collector, a history enthusiast, or simply someone who enjoys learning about extraordinary things hidden in everyday life, you're in the right place. Now we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating and potentially valuable coins in American numismatics, the 1982 D Lincoln 1 cent, also known as the Lincoln penny. On the surface, it may look like an ordinary coin, just a small copper-colored piece of metal worth a single cent. But today, we are exploring the rare and almost mythical possibilities that make this coin potentially worth $636,000 million, a figure that completely dwarfs its face value. We are going to discuss the history, the minting process, the types of errors that could exist, and why a single coin could hypothetically hold such extraordinary value. So let's begin this fascinating journey together. The 1982 Lincoln penny is a coin that carries historical significance in the history of the United States Mint. It represents the year of transition from the traditional copper alloy, 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, to the new, more economical copper-plated zinc composition, which was introduced later in 1982. This transition was not a simple switch. It involved a period of adjustment, experimentation, and testing, and during that period, many unusual and rare varieties of the penny were produced. Because of this transitional year, the 1982 D penny is considered one of the most collectible and sought-after coins among specialists who study Lincoln cents. Some of these variations are already valuable, with certain copper small date and large date coins commanding high premiums, but the potential for undiscovered, dramatic minting errors exists, making the theoretical value astronomically higher. When we think about a coin's value, we have to consider both rarity and uniqueness. Most coins, especially pennies, are so common that their value is almost entirely face value. But rare errors, mistakes, and anomalies can transform a single coin into an item of immense value. The 1982 D penny is particularly interesting because it could, hypothetically, combine multiple types of errors that have never been seen together in one coin. Collectors imagine scenarios in which the coin was struck on an incorrect planchet, had a die crack, doubling, or even an off-center strike. These features could dramatically increase its rarity and value. The Denver Mint, responsible for the D Mint mark coins, produced billions of pennies that year, but even a single penny with the perfect combination of errors could be worth more than most collectors' entire coin collections combined. Let's start with the idea of minting errors. One of the most famous types of errors among Lincoln cents is the double die. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin receives multiple impressions during the die creation process. This results in lettering, dates, or images that appear doubled on the coin. For a 1982 D penny, a strong double die could appear on the obverse, showing doubling on Lincoln's profile, the date, or even the word Liberty. A double die of sufficient intensity could make a coin incredibly valuable, especially if combined with other anomalies. Some of the most famous double die pennies, such as the 1955 Lincoln cent, have sold for tens of thousands of dollars, and a unique 1982 D double die could exceed that by orders of magnitude. Another possibility is the off-metal or wrong planchet error. During the transitional period in 1982, the Mint was testing both the old copper planchets and the new zinc planchets. It is entirely possible that a penny intended for one metal composition could have been struck on the wrong planchet. For example, a copper penny could have been struck on a zinc planchet or vice versa. Even more dramatically, some collectors speculate about the possibility of experimental planchets from prototypes or foreign planchets mistakenly striking with the 1982 D dies. A coin struck on an incorrect planchet would be exceptionally rare and highly sought after, particularly if it is visually perfect and well preserved. Then there are die errors, including die cracks, die breaks, and cuds. A die crack occurs when the die used to strike coins develops a fracture, resulting in raised lines or anomalies on the coin's surface. These die cracks can range from subtle to dramatic, and collectors highly prize larger or more visually striking cracks. A cut occurs when a piece of the die breaks away, leaving a raised, unstruck area on the coin. If a 1982 penny contains a dramatic die crack or a large cud, it could be visually stunning and highly valuable, particularly if the coin also exhibits other error types. Mint mark errors are another area where the 1982 penny could reach immense value. The D mint mark on Denver coins was manually punched into the die, which introduces the potential for misplacement, doubling, or even repunching. A repunched mint mark, also called an RPM, occurs when the mint mark is punched more than once, leaving overlapping impressions. Misplaced or repunched mint marks are highly collectible, and a 1982 penny with a strong RPM could be a centerpiece for any collection. Combine this with a double die, off-metal strike, and die cracks, and you have a coin that could be one of a kind. Die rotation errors are also possible. A die rotation error occurs when the obverse and reverse dies are not aligned correctly, resulting in a coin where one side is rotated relative to the other. Extreme rotations are especially collectible because they are visually unusual and easily recognizable, and they represent mistakes that should never happen in a controlled minting environment. For a 1982 penny, the combination of die rotation with other dramatic errors could make the coin even more extraordinary. Another fascinating type of error that could exist for a 1982 penny is the mule. A mule occurs when two dies that were never intended to be paired are used to strike a coin. For example, imagine a 1982 Lincoln obverse paired with a Jefferson nickel reverse, or perhaps an experimental reverse from a future year. A mule error would be an extremely rare find, and even a single verified mule could instantly become one of the most famous coins in numismatic history. The possibility of a 1982 Lincoln mule is purely theoretical, but it captures the imagination of collectors everywhere. Condition is also crucial in determining a coin's value. Even a rare error coin loses much of its potential if it is heavily circulated, worn, or damaged. Conversely, a coin with a perfect strike, sharp details, no wear, and original luster can exponentially increase its value. Collectors often imagine the perfect 1982 error penny, preserved in mint condition for decades, waiting to be discovered in an old coin jar, a forgotten album, or a box of loose change. The rarity combined with pristine condition creates an irresistible combination. The Denver Mint, responsible for the D mint mark, has a long history of producing both common and extremely rare error coins. During high-volume production years like 1982, the chances of a minting accident increase. With millions of pennies struck daily, even a single coin with a perfect combination of multiple errors could slip through unnoticed, only to be discovered years later. The excitement of discovering such a coin is one of the reasons coin collecting continues to capture the imagination of people all over the world. Let's consider the hypothetical scenario that elevates a 1982 penny to the theoretical value of $636,000 million. Imagine a penny that combines multiple dramatic features. It is struck on a wrong planchet, perhaps one used for experimental purposes. It shows strong double die characteristics on both the obverse and reverse. It contains a dramatic die crack running across Lincoln's profile. It has a repunched and misaligned D mint mark. It exhibits extreme die rotation, and it may even be a mule. Add perfect, uncirculated condition to the equation, and you have a coin that is more than rare. It is historically significant, visually stunning, and financially unimaginable. The coin becomes a legend, a once-in-a-lifetime artifact that captures the imagination of collectors, investors, and historians alike. Now let's talk about the historical context. The year 1982 was a turning point not only for the Lincoln cent but for American coinage in general. Rising copper prices forced the mint to innovate and reduce costs, leading to the copper-plated zinc penny. Transitioning from a well-understood alloy to a new one created challenges in maintaining consistency, planchet quality, and strike strength. Even minor disruptions in the process could produce coins that were visually distinct, heavier or lighter than intended, or prone to unusual surface features. Collectors often look back on transitional years with fascination because the anomalies that occur during these periods are highly prized. The story of rare 1982 Lincoln pennies is also tied to human error. No matter how sophisticated minting technology becomes, human oversight is always part of the equation. Mint employees were responsible for preparing dies, punching mint marks, ensuring planchets were sorted correctly, and monitoring presses. In a busy production environment, even a single mistake can result in hundreds or thousands of error coins entering circulation. My dear coin collectors, once again thank you so much for joining me today. Whether you are an experienced coin collector, a history enthusiast, or someone who simply enjoys uncovering the hidden value in everyday objects, you are in exactly the right place. Now we are going to explore one of the most fascinating and potentially valuable coins in the United States, the 1983 Lincoln 1 cent, also known as the Liberty Penny. At first glance, this coin may seem ordinary, just a small, copper-plated zinc disc worth 1 cent. But as we delve into its history, minting process, and rare anomalies, you will see that this coin has the potential to reach astronomical values. Some theoretical scenarios suggest that a unique 1983 Lincoln penny could be worth as much as $631,000 million, completely eclipsing its face value. Now we'll explore the reasons why, examining minting errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies, and the unique conditions that could make a single coin unimaginably valuable. The 1983 Lincoln penny is historically significant for several reasons. By this year, the United States Mint had fully transitioned from the older 95% copper, 5% tin and zinc alloy to the newer copper-plated zinc planchet, which became standard in 1982. This transition was not without challenges. Changing the composition of a coin affects how the metal flows under pressure, how the dies interact with the planchet, and how the final strike appears. Minor variations in die pressure, planchet thickness, and environmental conditions during minting could create coins with unusual characteristics. While the majority of 1983 pennies circulated normally and were worth only their face value, a small subset may have emerged with anomalies that elevate them far beyond ordinary coins. One of the most significant ways a coin becomes valuable is through minting errors. Among the most celebrated errors in Lincoln pennies is the double die. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin is itself misaligned or struck multiple times during the die creation process. This creates an effect where letters, dates, or images appear doubled on the coin. For the 1983 Lincoln penny, this could mean doubling on Lincoln's profile, the date, the word liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." Collectors prize these coins because they are rare, visually distinctive, and often difficult to find in high grades. A strong double die, particularly if it appears on both the obverse and reverse, can make a coin extremely valuable. Off-metal errors are another fascinating category. During the transition to copper-plated zinc, the mint occasionally produced coins on the wrong planchet. This could happen if a copper planchet intended for older pennies ended up in the press for the new 1983 zinc pennies, or vice versa. In even rarer cases, experimental or foreign planchets could inadvertently enter production. A penny struck on the wrong planchet is not only rare but also intriguing to collectors because it represents a true accident in the production process. The visual differences can be subtle, such as a change in weight, metallic sheen, or color, but they signify a major anomaly. A 1983 penny with this type of off-metal error could be considered priceless, particularly if preserved in mint condition. Die errors, including die cracks, cuts, and die breaks, are another key factor in a coin's potential value. A die crack occurs when the metal die fractures, producing raised lines on the coin's surface. Cuts occur when a piece of the die breaks away entirely, leaving a raised area of unstruck metal. The dramatic visual effects of these errors can be highly collectible, and in combination with other anomalies, they can exponentially increase a coin's value. Imagine a 1983 penny with a dramatic die crack running across Lincoln's face or through the date, combined with doubling and an off-metal strike. Such a coin would be an extraordinary find. Mint mark errors also play a significant role in the rarity and value of a coin. The D mint mark from the Denver Mint and the S from San Francisco were manually punched into the die. This process leaves room for mistakes, including misplacement, doubling, or repunching of the mint mark. A repunched mint mark RPM occurs when the mint mark is stamped more than once, creating overlapping impressions. A strong RPM on a 1983 penny can dramatically increase its desirability, especially when paired with other types of errors. Misplaced or repunched mint marks are particularly prized because they are easily recognizable and extremely rare. Die rotation errors can further enhance the value of a coin. If the obverse and reverse dies are misaligned, a coin may appear rotated on one side relative to the other. Extreme die rotations are visually striking and rare, making them highly collectible. Imagine a 1983 penny with a 180-degree rotation, combined with a double die and a repunched mint mark. Such a coin would be nearly unique, a true numismatic treasure point. One of the most extraordinary possibilities is the existence of a mule coin. A mule occurs when a coin is struck with two dies that were never intended to pair. For instance, a 1983 Lincoln obverse could theoretically be paired with a Jefferson nickel reverse, or another completely unexpected combination. Mule errors are incredibly rare, and their discovery usually makes worldwide news in the numismatic community. The idea that a 1983 Lincoln penny could exist as a mule adds to the theoretical maximum value, particularly when combined with other error types. The condition of a coin plays a crucial role in determining its value. Even the rarest errors can be rendered less valuable if the coin is heavily circulated, scratched, or damaged. Conversely, a coin in pristine, uncirculated condition with sharp details and original luster can be worth dramatically more. Collectors often imagine the perfect 1983 Lincoln penny, a coin with multiple errors, preserved in a mint state for decades, tucked away in a drawer or forgotten in a collection, waiting to be discovered. The combination of rarity, historical significance, and perfect preservation creates the scenario that could justify the hypothetical value of $631,000 million. The Denver Mint, which produced the D Mint mark pennies, is well known for both common coins and extremely rare errors. In high-volume production years such as 1983, even with strict quality control, anomalies were inevitable. With millions of pennies struck daily, the probability of a unique, one-of-a-kind error coin increases. Human oversight also contributes. Employees were responsible for preparing dies, punching mint marks, monitoring planchets, and ensuring presses were functioning correctly. Even a single mistake can create hundreds of error coins, and among them, perhaps only one coin could reach the extreme rarity that collectors dream of. Imagine a theoretical 1983 D Lincoln penny that combines all possible anomalies. It is struck on a copper planchet intended for older pennies, displays a strong double die on both the obverse and reverse, contains a dramatic die crack across Lincoln's profile, has a misaligned or repunched D mint mark, exhibits extreme die rotation, and may even be a mule. If this coin is preserved in pristine, uncirculated condition, it would be considered the pinnacle of numismatic rarity. This combination of features could easily justify the extraordinary theoretical value of $631,000 million, making it the rarest Lincoln penny in history. Historical context enhances our understanding of why such anomalies are possible. The transition to copper-plated zinc created changes in planchet composition, weight, and metal flow characteristics. Press adjustments were necessary to maintain strike quality, and minor deviations could produce incomplete strikes, off-center impressions, or subtle misalignments. When combined with human factors, this created the potential for extraordinary error coins. Transitional years like 1983 are particularly intriguing because they represent a unique intersection of old and new production methods, producing coins that may not have been repeated in subsequent years. Known 1983 penny varieties include the large date and small date, each in copper and zinc. Each variety provides clues to potential anomalies. For instance, a small date copper penny struck on a zinc planchet could create subtle visual anomalies. Die misalignment or off-center strikes could compound the effect. Collectors meticulously examine details like Lincoln's facial features, the date, and lettering to identify unusual characteristics. These subtle variations can drastically influence value, especially when combined with dramatic minting errors. Provenance is another factor that influences a coin's value. Coins with documented histories, verified by professional grading services, attract more attention and higher bids. Imagine a 1983 D penny with multiple anomalies, authenticated, and presented at a major auction. The combination of rarity, verified condition, and story could result in a sale approaching the theoretical maximum value. Dear viewers, whether you are a seasoned coin collector, an investor, or someone simply fascinated by the hidden treasures in everyday objects, you are in exactly the right place. Now we are going to explore one of the most intriguing and potentially valuable coins ever minted in the United States, the 2008 Lincoln 1 cent, also called the Liberty Penny. At first glance, this coin may appear ordinary, a small copper-colored disc valued at only 1 cent. Yet, beneath its humble exterior lies the potential for extraordinary rarity and value. Now we will explore how certain errors, mistakes, mint mark anomalies, and other unusual features can transform a common 2008 Lincoln penny into an astonishing collectible, with theoretical values reaching up to $622,000 million. The 2008 Lincoln penny holds particular significance because it was produced during a period when the United States Mint had perfected the copper-plated zinc composition, introduced in 1982 to replace the older 95% copper coins. Despite the Mint's modernized and highly controlled processes, human oversight, die wear, and subtle variations in planchets and press operations could still result in unusual coins. While billions of 2008 pennies were minted and circulated normally, a very small number could have emerged with rare characteristics that make them extremely valuable. One of the primary ways a coin can acquire significant value is through minting errors. Among these, double dies are particularly celebrated. A double die occurs when the die used to strike the coin itself receives a misaligned or duplicate impression during its manufacture. The result is a coin that appears to have letters, numbers, or designs doubled. For a 2008 Lincoln penny, doubling can appear on Lincoln's profile, the date, the word Liberty, or the motto "In God We Trust." Coins with strong double die errors are highly sought after because they are rare, visually distinctive, and difficult to find, especially in mint condition. A double die 2008 penny could become a standout collector piece, commanding attention from enthusiasts and investors alike. Off-metal errors are another intriguing category. Even in 2008, despite modern quality control, there remained a small risk of coins being struck on the wrong planchet. A 2008 penny might theoretically be struck on a copper planchet intended for older pennies, on an experimental alloy, or even on a foreign planchet that inadvertently entered the production line. Such coins are highly desirable because they represent errors that should never have occurred. They might differ in weight, color, or composition, making them immediately noticeable to collectors. An off-metal 2008 penny, preserved in pristine condition, could become exceptionally valuable. Die errors, including die cracks, die breaks, and cuds, also contribute significantly to a coin's potential value. A die crack occurs when a metal die fractures, creating raised lines on the coin's surface. A cud forms when a portion of the die breaks off entirely, leaving a raised unstruck area. These anomalies are visually striking and collectible. Imagine a 2008 penny with a dramatic die crack across Lincoln's face or running through the date. If this coin also exhibited doubling and an off-metal strike, it would become an extraordinary numismatic item. Mint mark errors further enhance a coin's rarity. The 2008 pennies were produced at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with Denver coins carrying the D mint mark. The mint mark is manually punched into the die, leaving room for errors such as misplacement, doubling, or repunching. A repunched mint mark RPM is particularly prized because the overlapping impressions create a visually distinctive anomaly. A 2008 D penny with a strong RPM could attract considerable attention, especially if it also displays other errors such as die cracks or double dies. Die rotation errors occur when the obverse and reverse dies are misaligned. This produces a coin in which one side is rotated relative to the other. Extreme die rotation errors are particularly collectible because they are rare and visually striking. Imagine a 2008 penny with a 180-degree die rotation combined with a double die and a repunched mint mark. Such a combination would make this coin nearly unique, elevating it to legendary status among collectors. The rarest and most extraordinary type of minting error is the mule. A mule occurs when a coin is struck with dies that were never intended to pair. For example, a 2008 Lincoln obverse could theoretically be struck against the reverse die of a Jefferson nickel, or another denomination. Mule errors are exceptionally rare and highly prized because they defy standard minting logic. The potential for a 2008 Lincoln penny mule further amplifies the theoretical extreme value of such a coin. Condition is a crucial factor in determining a coin's value. Even the rarest errors are diminished in worth if the coin is heavily circulated, scratched, or damaged. Conversely, coins that remain in uncirculated condition, with sharp details and original luster, can be immensely valuable. Collectors often envision the perfect 2008 penny, one combining multiple anomalies, preserved flawlessly for decades, possibly tucked away in a forgotten coin jar or album. This combination of rarity, historical significance, and condition is what could justify a theoretical value as high as $622,000 million. The Denver Mint, which produced the D Mint Mark pennies, is known for high-volume production and occasional anomalies. Even with rigorous quality control, errors can occur, particularly during periods of mass coin production. Human oversight, such as misaligned dies, improperly prepared planchets, or punches of mint marks, can introduce minor errors that, when combined, produce coins of exceptional rarity. In a hypothetical scenario featuring the perfect 2008 D penny with multiple errors, human error plays a significant role alongside mechanical processes, emphasizing the coin's uniqueness. Consider the ultimate theoretical 2008 D Lincoln penny. It is struck on a copper planchet intended for older pennies, exhibits strong double dies on both Lincoln's profile and the date, contains dramatic die cracks, displays a misaligned or repunched D mint mark, shows extreme die rotation, and may even be a mule with a mismatched reverse die. Preserved in mint condition, such a coin would likely be the rarest Lincoln penny ever produced. Its theoretical value could easily reach $622,000 million, making it the ultimate numismatic prize for collectors, investors, and enthusiasts. Historical context helps explain why 2008 pennies might contain anomalies. Despite the mint's refined processes, the production line always involves multiple variables. Slight differences in planchet thickness, metal composition, die alignment, or press pressure can produce subtle or dramatic errors. Rare human oversights or mechanical malfunctions could further introduce unusual coins. The 2008 penny, produced with modern techniques but still subject to these variables, represents a unique intersection of precision, human involvement, and chance, creating the possibility for extraordinary rare coins. Known 2008 penny varieties include standard copper-plated zinc compositions with minor variations in planchet thickness, weight, or strike quality. These variations provide clues for potential anomalies. For instance, a penny struck slightly off-center could display distortions that are collectible in combination with other errors. Collectors carefully examine Lincoln's facial features, the date, the spacing of letters, and other details to identify unusual characteristics. These subtle differences, combined with major minting anomalies, create coins of immense rarity. Provenance also plays a role in a coin's value. Coins with documented histories of discovery and authentication by professional grading services command higher prices. Imagine a 2008 D penny with multiple errors, verified and auctioned to a global audience. Its provenance, rarity, and pristine condition could elevate its value to unprecedented levels. In numismatics, rarity, condition, and verified history combine to determine a coin's ultimate worth. Collectors continue to search for these rare anomalies, examining coin rolls, old collections, and even jars of loose change. The thrill lies in the possibility of discovering a coin that could redefine the collector market. Just as other historically significant coins, such as the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent or the 1913 Liberty Head nickel, achieved extraordinary prices, a unique 2008 Lincoln penny with multiple errors could become legendary. The idea that a small 1-cent coin could hold such immense value captivates collectors and investors worldwide. Environmental factors can further influence a coin's uniqueness. Chemical reactions, unusual toning, or storage marks can make coins visually distinct. When combined with minting errors, these features increase the coin's aesthetic appeal and potential value.